used to navigate the labyrinth. Let's see what's at the end.
Yeah, admittedly, that when you're in game, it just looks like a full-on rope. It's very thick. It might be fun to also have the Minotaur actively hunt the player throughout the maze, but maybe that would venture into a bit more of a horror territory. Seems a bit scary. Oh, did the Minotaur kill someone? So the game's version of the Minotaur is definitely more bull than he is man, and certainly more beastly in some of the depictions we get of the Minotaur on Greek pottery, where he more or less has the bodily proportions of a human, but maybe with a few features of a bull. So the Minotaur has a pretty interesting story. The king of Crete, Minos, had asked for a sign from Poseidon to help establish his authority over Crete, because his brothers were contesting his claim, and he asked for a rare white bull. Poseidon gave him the bull, and then he was supposed to eventually sacrifice the bull in honor of Poseidon, but I think he was so taken by how beautiful the bull was that he decided to keep it. And of course, Poseidon was not having any of this. He asked Aphrodite for help in planning his revenge, and Aphrodite inserted desire into Minos' wife, Queen Pasiphae, and made her fall in love with the bull, and so not just fall in love, lust heavily for the bull. Pasiphae commissions their engineer Daedalus to make her a kind of cow costume, a fake cow, a mechanical cow, so that she could breed with the bull. And it worked, of course, and eventually she gave birth to the Minotaur, which is this half-man, half-bull creature. King Minos was, not a big fan of all that happened, so he got Daedalus to make the Labyrinth to then imprison the bull. At this time, Minos also had some ongoing beef with Athens, because he held them responsible for the death of his son. He waged a war of revenge against Athens and won, and as part of the terms of their surrender, they had to send 7 young boys and 7 young girls to Crete every single year, and Minos would have them sent into the Labyrinth to get slaughtered by the Minotaur. Eventually, the Athenian hero Theseus comes along and he sets out to kill the Minotaur. He does so by first charming the king's daughter Ariadne into helping him and betraying her father. So she gives him this magical thread so that he doesn't get lost in the labyrinth, and once he goes in and kills the Minotaur, he can find his way back out. That's what we're seeing in the game right here. If we trace the history of representations of the Minotaur backwards, we might find some really interesting things about how certain ways of depicting Greek myth come to become dominant at a certain point of time. Throughout the 70s and 80s, Dungeons & Dragons had popularized Minotaurs as a more generic race of monsters. In addition to the singular Minotaur of Greek myth, there was now a more broadly applicable concept of Minotaurs, which became really popular throughout modern fantasy as well as video games. And these Minotaurs were much more beefy, much more bull than man, and the depiction we find here is much more akin to that than it is of what we find on Greek pottery.
I can't believe I killed the Minotaur! What, I would be so proud!
Assassin's Creed Odyssey may be based on Greek myth, but it is also a video game, and developers do at times have to make some calls as to which visual tradition they want the game to pay homage to.
Another challenger. I hope you're more resilient than the last one.
Sphinxes are more commonly associated with ancient Egypt than with ancient Greece, but because there's plenty of trade and cross-cultural contact taking place, some Egyptian figures and iconography gained a life of its own across the Mediterranean.
One must risk everything in the pursuit of knowledge. If you can answer my questions wisely, you will have proven yourself worthy.
In Greek mythology, the Sphinx was primarily found in the tale of Oedipus. Yes, that guy who's fated to kill his dad and marry his mom. Oedipus was on the way to Thebes when he accidentally encounters his father/king/guy who abandoned him. They get into a fight and he kills him. There was a Sphinx that was terrorizing Thebes at this time, and Oedipus is the one who defeats it by correctly answering what is now one of the most famous riddles. What creature walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs in the evening? That's us, humans.
How clever you are.
And once you answer its riddles correctly, the Sphinx is meant to find some way to off itself. The Sphinx in the Oedipus myth flings itself off a cliff, and the one in this video seems to just be spontaneously combusting. I don't know why they're so dramatic.